In other news, Palestinian election campaigning getting off the ground as well. But just who's running in the May 22nd and July 31st votes is still up in the air, with both Hamas and Fatah scrambling to solidify their lists as soon as possible. The Hamas terror organization in Gaza, for one, now locked in a tight primary election, with the main focus on incumbent political head Yahya Sinwar and his biggest opponent Nizar Aoudala, who for now is reportedly in the lead. Though that said, there are 5 candidates in the Hamas running. And meanwhile, Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas's Fatah party is releasing its own big news this week, with party members announcing plans to officially run on a unified list, and this after high-ranking members in the party attempted to divide it into smaller individual factions. Specifically, Nasser al-Qudwa, member of the PA Central Committee and nephew of late Palestinian leader Yasser Arafat, who defended Palestinians that are, quote, fed up with the Palestinian internal structures, government misbehavior, and lack of rule of law, etc. So what will Palestinian elections look like? Will they be fair? Will they even actually happen? Joining me to discuss is founder and director of Palestinian Media Watch, Itamar Marcus. Itamar, thank you so much for being with us. Now, what can you tell us about the top contenders in Hamas's primaries, Yahya Sinwar and Nizar Aoudala?
I think the truth is that right now that's been a last-minute change for Hamas, and up till now, Yahya Sinwar has always been assumed, so we can't really tell how that's going to impact. I think more significant is when we look at the recent polls, the last polls that were taken, we get a very, very interesting finding. First of all, a Fatah list running against a Hamas list, Fatah only wins by 4%, 38% Fatah, 34% for Hamas. Now, what's interesting, though, is if Marwan Barghouti runs his own list, then he gets 25% and Fatah only gets 19%. So what's happening here is Marwan Barghouti, who is in jail, who is a terrorist, who's sitting 5 life sentences for murder of 5 civilians, he gives an incredible boost to Fatah. Now, even more significant, and I think this is where we see how problematic this has to be for Israel. Right now, if presidential elections were held according to the last poll, Ismail Haniyeh, the head of Hamas, would get 50%, whereas Mahmoud Abbas would get 43%. Now, then the question was asked differently. If Marwan Barghouti ran for Fatah, what would happen? And then Barghouti gets 61% and Ismail Haniyeh gets 37%. Why is this so significant? Hamas leader running against Fatah leader right now, Hamas wins the election. How does Fatah win the election? Only by putting an imprisoned terrorist who's sitting 5 life sentences in jail for murder. Only then do they defeat Hamas. It tells us how important terror is in the Palestinian psyche. That Marwan Barghouti can be so popular for president is shocking, and it must be shocking to anyone who's looking at Palestinian society. They have so many problems, economic problems, social problems. You name, they have problems. Marwan Barghouti has absolutely no background in anything. He has only been a terrorist, and now he's been a prisoner for 15 years or so. How is he going to be someone who's going to save them? No, they don't care. As long as he was a terrorist, he would win the election. And that's what's tragic for Israel.
Well, and that also brings me maybe to my next question, because you see the Fatah party, they recently announced that they are running on a unified list, and I'm assuming that includes Marwan Barghouti. So how does that affect all the polls and all the standings and the things that you just mentioned?
So first of all, if Fatah has been saying for the longest time that they want a unified list, we have to see that they really do have a unified list. This could just be a pressure, putting pressure on the other lists and the other people. There are a lot of people who are totally unsatisfied with the Fatah leadership. So it could be that it's just some fake news to take the pressure off. I don't think some of those, for example, Mohammed Dakhlan, he's running his own list. There's no chance that Abbas is going to put his people onto a list with the Dakhlan. So I think it's a little premature to actually believe that Fatah is going to have unity so quickly and have a united list.
What might Israel do in the event that Hamas wins the legislative and even presidential election?
Okay, this will be a tremendous challenge. First of all, it'll be a challenge in terms of the day-to-day running of contacts with the Palestinian Authority. As you know, Israel collects tax money for the PA. We pass them over. We have we import and export. And we are not interested, the government is not interested in the Palestinian Authority collapsing. So Israel would have a great challenge there. On the other hand, internationally, I think the pressure on Israel will disappear. No one can put pressure on Israel internationally to give up land, to make concessions to an organization that openly says that it wants to destroy Israel in the name of religious obligation upon which it cannot compromise. So internationally, we'll be stronger. We'll have a lot more flexibility in terms of what we have to do and necessarily do in the region. And I think we'll be very pragmatic in terms of running day-to-day life with the Palestinian Authority ruled by Hamas.
All right, Itamar Marcus, thank you so much for your insights.
You're very welcome. Have a good day.
You too.